Okay, hi, welcome to the opposite wall of my office. I needed to be at my desk today for today's video so I can read to you, and because I am now aging, I have to wear readers when I read, according to the eye doctor that I saw over the holiday. So this is what it is. Welcome to being 45. Hi, welcome back. So, the delightful thing about Vincent's cookbook, A Treasury of Great Recipes, is that it reads very much like a modern cookbook, even though the copyright to the book is 1964. The cookbook is written personally, it is written in Vincent's own voice, and it really is a snapshot of a famous life, which I find absolutely fascinating. I encountered what I am almost positive is the first of many, many rabbit holes I am probably going to fall down while reading and cooking through this cookbook. So Vincent writes, "When we lunch in our garden, Mary has some favorite props. A wondrous giant clamshell heaped with cracked crab, a bronze Art Nouveau head filled with flowers, and a towering totem pole that once stood on John Barrymore's hillside are all visual aids to happy eating." Vincent is speaking about a totem pole that once belonged to the actor John Barrymore. So I started researching and I discovered a story that is unbelievable, but it's unbelievably true. Today I am going to tell you about the totem pole that John Barrymore stole and how it ended up in the possession of Vincent Price and in Vincent Price's Benedict Canyon garden. Actor John Barrymore was born John Sidney Blythe in February 1882. He was born into a theatrical family with his parents and siblings acting on the stage, screen, and radio. John Barrymore began his acting career as a stage actor in 1903. Initially, Barrymore performed in stage comedies, but he moved into drama, and he became quite famous for acting in Shakespearean drama. Specifically, he is quite well known for his portrayal of Hamlet on the stage. Barrymore left stage acting for performing in silent films. He played dual roles as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in 1920, and he also portrayed Sherlock Holmes in 1922. Barrymore's stage-trained voice transitioned well into the talkies of sound film, and his career continued to grow. And when I say his career continued to grow, that is a gross understatement. This man was hugely famous and enormously rich at this time. And the time frame I am talking is 1924 through 1936. But Barrymore had some real demons. He was hugely dependent on alcohol, and his dependency led to studios refusing to employ him. There are well-documented reports of Barrymore's disruptive behavior and his drinking on set. From the late 1930s to Barrymore's death in 1942, he performed primarily on radio and on the stage. But at this time, not only was his memory failing, his health was failing, and so was his career. He was bankrupt, and he was suffering from debilitating headaches. John Barrymore died on May 29, 1942, at the Hollywood Presbyterian Hospital. He died from cirrhosis of the liver, kidney failure, and complications from pneumonia. John Barrymore was 60 years old. I am going to get to the stolen totem pole in just a second and how it relates to Vincent Price, but I want to address briefly a few Barrymore things. First, John Barrymore is the grandfather of actress Drew Barrymore. There is a long-standing Hollywood rumor regarding John Barrymore and what happened to his body immediately following his death. Actor and sordid drinking pal Errol Flynn wrote in his memoirs that Barrymore's body was stolen from the mortuary by a few of his friends and propped up at a poker table in Flynn's living room in the middle of the night for a drunken Errol Flynn to walk in on and discover so they could have one last round of drinks. In 2020, on an episode of YouTube's Hot Ones, Drew Barrymore confirmed that this story is in fact true. In 1931, John Barrymore stole a 40-foot totem pole during a yacht trip from an unoccupied Alaskan village off of Prince of Wales Island. The stolen totem pole was one of more than 100 that once stood on the island. The totem pole has images of a killer whale, a raven, an eagle, and a wolf. John Barrymore's crew, in the middle of the night, carved the totem pole into 3 pieces and loaded it onto Barrymore's boat. Barrymore displayed the totem pole in his garden at his Californian estate. A water spout had been installed through the middle of the totem pole, turning it into a water fountain. Enter Vincent Price. The Prices purchased the Barrymore stolen totem pole, along with a number of other items from an antique collector by the name of Ralph Altman. The totem pole was installed in the Price's Benedict Canyon garden backyard. In 1982, Mary Price donated the totem pole to the Honolulu Museum of Art after their divorce. The Honolulu Museum of Art was unaware that the totem pole was stolen. They briefly displayed the totem pole before moving it to the museum's climate-controlled basement. At the end of Vincent's life, his daughter Victoria asked him about the totem pole. The story, as she told it to New Yorker magazine, is not exactly a fabulous one. The story Vincent tells Victoria is that Barrymore took a liking to one of the totem poles. Barrymore was informed that the totem poles are burial posts and they are sacred and they are not for sale. Later that night, Barrymore returns to the island with 2 workers from his yacht, cut the totem pole open, removed the burial remains inside, sawed the totem pole into 3 pieces, and loaded it onto Barrymore's yacht. Yeah. In 2013, University of Alaska, Anchorage, professor and anthropologist Dr. Steve Langdon confirmed the totem pole was used as a burial post or a mortuary pole. Professor Langdon spent decades studying the Alaskan Tlingit tribe, the tribe and rightful owners of the Barrymore totem pole. Langdon strongly suspected that the totem pole was stolen. For one, it's forbidden to sell a totem pole. Langdon, through research, also discovered that at the time Barrymore was voyaging to Alaska, that island hadn't been occupied for decades. Professor Langdon began the process of returning the totem pole to the Tlingit people. He traveled to the Honolulu Museum of Art where the totem pole was in storage, and he was able to make a positive identification of the totem pole. Working with a tribal administrator for the Tlingit tribe and funded through the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, I have it written down, the museum began the process to repatriate the pole, and in 2015, the stolen totem pole returned home. Unfortunately, this story is not unique. The looting of Native American graves goes back to beginning or the advent of colonialism, but this one was made right. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to like this video. Subscription is not required, but it is always appreciated, and I will see you next time.